Murder.
Murder. The crime of killing somebody deliberately. For example, he was found guilty of murder.
Muscle.
Muscle. A piece of body tissue that you make tight and relax in order to move a particular part of the body, the tissue that forms the muscles of the body. For example, a calf/neck/thigh muscle. Myth. A story from ancient times, especially one that was told to explain natural events, or to describe the early history of a people, this type of story. For example, ancient Greek myths.
Nail. The thin hard layer covering the outer tip of the fingers or toes. For example, stop biting your nails. Name. A word or words that a particular person, animal, place or thing is known by. For example, what's your name?
Native.
Native. A person who was born in a particular country or area. For example, a native of New York.
Near. A short distance away. For example, his house is very near. Near. A short distance away. For example, his house is very near. Near. A short distance away. For example, his house is very near.
Nearby.
Nearby. Near in position, not far away. For example, her mother lived in a nearby town.
Nearby.
Nearby. Near in position, not far away. For example, her mother lived in a nearby town.
Nearly.
Nearly. Almost, not quite, not completely. For example, the bottle's nearly empty.
Neck. The part of the body between the head and the shoulders. For example, he tied a scarf around his neck. Need. A situation when something is necessary or must be done. For example, to satisfy/meet/fulfill a need.
Negative.
Negative. A word or statement that means no, an act of refusing to do something or of denying something. For example, in the negative.
Neighbor. A person who lives next to you or near you. For example, we've had a lot of support from all our friends and neighbors.
Neighboring. Located or living near or next to a place or person. For example, a neighboring house.
Neither.
Neither. Not one nor the other of two things or people. For example, neither answer is correct.
Nerve. Any of the long fibers that carry messages between the brain and parts of the body, enabling you to move, feel pain, etc. For example, the optic nerve.
Next. After something else, then, afterwards. For example, what happened next?
Next to. In or into a position right by somebody/something. For example, we sat next to each other.
Nobody. Not anyone, no person. For example, nobody knew what to say.
Nod. If you nod your head or your head nods, you move your head up and down to show agreement, understanding, etc. For example, I asked him if he would help me and he nodded. Nominate. To formally suggest that somebody or something should be chosen for an important role, prize, position, etc. For example, nominate somebody as something for something. Nose. The part of the face that sticks out above the mouth, used for breathing and smelling things. For example, she had dark eyes and a long narrow nose.
Notice. A sheet of paper giving written or printed information, usually put in a public place. For example, there was a notice on the board saying the class had been cancelled.
Notify. To formally or officially tell somebody about something. For example, notify somebody.
Nuclear.
Nuclear. Using, producing or resulting from nuclear energy. For example, a nuclear power plant station.
Oblige. To force somebody to do something, by law, because it is a duty, etc. For example, parents are obliged by law to send their children to school.
Observation.
Observation. The act of watching somebody/something carefully for a period of time, especially to learn something. For example, most information was collected by direct observation of the animal's behavior.
Observe.
Observe. To see or notice somebody/something. For example, observe somebody/something.
Observer. A person who watches somebody/something. For example, according to observers. Ocean. The mass of salt water that covers most of the Earth's surface. For example, the ship was dredged from the depths of the ocean. Of. Belonging to somebody, relating to somebody. For example, a friend of mine. Offense. An illegal act. For example, a criminal's serious minor sexual offense.
Offend.
Offend. To make somebody feel upset because of something you say or do that is rude or embarrassing. For example, they'll be offended if you don't go to their wedding.